Okay.
Hi everybody, Elizabeth Statlander, marriage and family therapist and mental health counselor, getting straight to the point on mental health and relationship issues. Welcome to my very first Facebook Live show. This is really exciting. I don't know if anyone remembers, but last year I was working on a human interest podcast and I did it for an hour. And now we're changing the format a little bit to go live during the day, during your lunch hour, so that you have an opportunity to interact with me and ask me all the questions that you have about relationships, mental health, all kinds of exciting things like that. And today is our first day, so we're going to do a little bit of introduction before we get started. And I want to introduce everybody to my producer, Tia Papajaz.
Hello.
And Tia is awesome. She's helping me. She's going to be reading your questions during the show and relaying them to us live so that I can do my best to give you some good answers to your relationship questions. And before we go any further, Tia is going to give us a little breakdown of how we want this whole show to go. She's going to kind of tell you the rules and make sure that I don't get sued.
So definitely not going to get sued.
Yeah.
So first thing is, if you look at your live, we're probably sideways, so just click on us, enlarge us, and you'll be able to watch us like I'm watching over here on the chair. Just want to tell everybody that this is a safe space. This is just going to give you, some general tips and ideas, nothing personalized. So please don't make any direct questions. We can't really give any direct answers, but we can talk about a broad topic. Also, we are going to post a link to Elizabeth's page so that anybody that wants to make an appointment, come in and talk to her, you guys can feel free to do so. You can also message us at any time if you want a private message. We are on Instagram as well. So just check us out. And we're going to start. I can see all of your questions back here. So if I'm looking down, I'm not paying attention or playing around. I'm just trying to read. So if anybody, has anything that you'd like to add or any questions that you want to have, please feel free and do so. So we're just going to start. What made you want to get into this profession in this field?
Oh my gosh. Well, I wanted to get into this field for a couple of reasons, but the number one thing that actually drove me to it was when I was 11, my father passed away, and he died not totally suddenly, but he was sick. Within a year he passed away, and that became very, very difficult for me to deal with. And so I started acting out. I was really bad, and so my mother said, you're going to see a therapist because you need some help. And I did not want to go. And she took me to a couple different therapists, and I hated them. They were treating me more like I was a subject rather than a person. And I was only, at that point, maybe 12 or 13 years old. And then finally, she got me to this woman, Dr. Mary Pat Donegan. I don't know if she's still out there, but she really just saved my life. I loved her. And she really inspired me at that young age to want to be a therapist, because she did so much to help me that I thought, wow, if a therapist can have that kind of impact, maybe that's something that, I might want to do. So that single event was sort of the catalyst for me to get into the business. Now, there were several other, things that happened in my family and just growing up that were, hard to deal with. And I found that, the books I was reading on therapy and the conversations that I was having with people, in addition to, at that young age, my therapist, really helped me get through my life. So I wound up going kind of a different route for a while. I worked in news business for a while. I worked in politics for a while. And I liked those things, but they just weren't quite doing it for me. I really wanted to be a therapist. So at 20, I think I was 28 or 29, I decided to go back to graduate school, and I was living in Miami at the time, and 12 years later almost, here I am.
Well, that's great. I know everybody has such positive, wonderful things to say about you.
Oh, thank you.
Just in the short time that I've known Elizabeth, she is amazing. I mean, she just goes the extra mile. Also, we have our pups with us.
We have our doggies. So this is dog-friendly atmosphere.
Yep, it's amazing.
That's Rosie, and this is Coors. And my Shih Tzu, who could care less about what we're doing, is back on the couch. But yes, I do I do let people, if their dogs are well behaved. I let them bring them to therapy and play. And my dogs will always comfort people when they're here.
They're
They'll
great.
cuddle with them, and sometimes he barks when he's not supposed to, but but people love that. So my dogs greet people. They greet the clients when they come in. I try to make it like a very, like a homey atmosphere, so people don't feel. People are already worried and anxious when they're going to a therapist.
Yeah.
They're not in a good place. Something terrible is happening in their relationship or in their life. And the last thing I want to do is make somebody feel uncomfortable more so than they already are.
And I will tell you, there is no desk in here. There's no desk.
No desk.
There's no big chair.
No
She doesn't
computer.
sit behind a stack of books. I mean, this is just, we're sitting in somebody's living room having a conversation,
Yep.
which I think is fabulous.
Thank you.
What would you say is your most rewarding kind of factor for having this business? What makes you go home at night and just smile and know that you did a great job that day?
Well, that's a good question. One of the things I really love about couples work is when couples come in here, they really they hate each other. They're mad, they hate each other, they're not talking, they're not having sex, they're not enjoying life. And over time, when I work with couples and then I see them holding hands, coming in here, laughing, smiling, telling me that, their sex life has turned around, it is just wonderful. It's just, there's nothing, I'm a romantic. I love love and I believe in it. And when I see people who don't believe in it, and then I think maybe I gave them some hope and I see it turn around, it's just wonderful.
I think that's great. There's so many people out there that are just kind of, don't knock that over, Rosie. Let me just, hold on. Time out. Okay, we're good.
That would have been funny.
I just think it's great, and she's so comfortable to talk to. What you see on here is exactly what you get. I mean, it is just, look, there's a fireplace. Where do you go that has a fireplace? It's just amazing.
Just chill. We just want to relax and again, make people as comfortable as possible.
So let's dive in here. Who has a question? What should we talk about today? I'm going to be able to read things right from my phone. Let's see. We have some people out here watching us. You guys want to say hello? We know that you're there. 3 viewers right now.
All right, let's keep going. 3 full people. That's awesome.
Hey, it's our first one. Tell your friends. Phone a friend.
Phone a friend. Get on here.
So, okay. Let's talk about relationships.
Okay.
All right. Oh, Elizabeth, I'm just so upset in my marriage. I think my husband's talking to somebody else. I think he's always in his phone. He's never paying attention to me. He's always looking at his phone.
Okay.
What could that mean?
Well, it can mean a lot of things, and you don't want to really jump to conclusions, but I think the first thing that it means is that he's not focused on you, that he is somehow frustrated or disinterested in the relationship for whatever reason. He's feeling some type of way, so that you and perhaps the children, if you have them, are not. It's becoming stressful for him. That's what I think.
So is there something that I can do to turn this around, or without really knowing, how can I know what to do?
Well, I think the first thing you have to do, and this is the one thing that everybody struggles with who comes in here, the first thing you have to do is communicate. You have to ask him what's going on, but you have to ask him in a way that is not attacking. Because we tend to, when we're dealing with our partners, we're in an emotional state. We're high strung, we're nervous, we're angry, and so we go in and we attack. And we say, why are you always on your phone? Why don't you ever, look at me, I'm sick of you on the phone. Well, when you talk to somebody like that, gloves up, and there's a fight, right? Or somebody shuts down. So if you suspect something's going on before you accuse and attack, I would sit down and just say, hey, listen, I noticed that, you're on your phone a lot, and I'm feeling, kind of talk from yourself rather than what you're doing. I'm feeling left out. I'm feeling like you're not interested. I'm feeling like I'm a stress for you. What do you think about that? And that's a way of talking to somebody that's not attacking them. And if that doesn't work, that's why I'm here. You make an appointment, you come in, and I'll ask him.
So in general, and again, we're just being general.
Yeah.
What do you think about it? Let's say I have a friend,
Okay.
and the friend is a male,
Okay.
and I harmlessly am sending him text messages here and there, nothing graphic. Hey, how you doing? How's your day? What do you really think that me chatting with that person, how do you feel about that?
I'm not a big fan of it. Listen, I have male friends, okay, that I've had literally since I was 12 and 13, and they're big parts of my life. But I don't text and chat with them every single day, you know, and make sure that I have good relationships with their wives and spouses, because I would never want to come across in any kind of way that could be perceived as inappropriate or threatening. But if you are, and I think when you've grown up with people, it can be a little bit different, but when you're just chatting with someone new that you don't even know, and you're married or you're in a committed relationship of the opposite sex, or if you're, you know, gay with same sex, it's probably not good. I think it's disrespectful, and it gets hurtful. I don't see, you know, you should be talking to your partner 4 or 5 times a day on the phone, not to another person. And I see a lot of that now. And that's the precursor to an affair. That's how it starts. So, not a big fan of it.
Thank you, Amy, for the comment. So Amy writes, I say this to my husband, you are so right. It does nothing when you get angry and you argue.
It doesn't, no. We all feel it, and even me, I mean, I'm a therapist, and when I'm upset or I'm hurt by my partner, I may yell at him. And I mean, there's never going to be perfection, you know, but you just want to learn how to talk and learn how to communicate, again, in a way that doesn't feel attacking. And it's a skill, because when you're escalated and, you know, your heart's racing and you're mad, it's really hard to control yourself.
Oh, don't I know it.
So it's a skill. It's a skill, and then we work on that here. We do. We work on that. These are great questions.
Okay, so we have another one. Rosemary, coping with grief after 55 years of marriage.
Ooh, oh, that's from Rosemary.
Rosemary.
Rosemary. Geez, that's a tough one. The first thing I would say to you is that don't ever set yourself up for failure in this grieving process and thinking that you're going to get over this, because you won't. So whenever I'm working with grieving clients, and sometimes people get mad at me when I say this, that you can never expect to get over it, okay? So if you're grieving a husband of 55 years and he's a part of you, and it's gonna be a long and painful experience. So you have to accept that, and you have to accept that you're never gonna get over the loss, but you have to learn how to build a new life without that person. That's the challenge. And I think that, you know, therapy can be very helpful to that. Grief counseling can be frustrating for the client, because I cannot remove the pain that you're experiencing. I can only sit in it with you. I can sit in it with you. And I lost both my parents by the time I was 36 or 37, so I understand grief. But it's a long road that, again, you're never going to get over it, but you have to, at some point, try to learn how to build a new life without him.
See, I think that's great advice. And she's just so calming. I mean, and the conversations are so easy. This by no means is rehearsed or faked.
No, we didn't.
We're just on here, and I mean, we're here for you guys. So do we have any other questions out there? Anybody else? Anything you want to talk about?
Relationships, grief, anything coming in right now?
How about kids?
Okay.
Let's talk about dealing with kids.
Okay.
So, Elizabeth, I have this 13-year-old
Okay.
that just drives me nuts.
Okay.
He doesn't listen. He doesn't want to do his homework. He's just more into like being online and being social with everybody else but his parents. What do I do for that?
Well, you know, a lot of times I get phone calls from parents, and they'll say, you know, I want to bring my kids in, there's something wrong with them, they're not behaving, they're always on their phone, da-da-da-da. And I tell them, I refuse to see your child without seeing you first, because 9 times out of 10, if not more, it's the parents, because the parents aren't setting enough boundaries and enough structure for the child and following through with it. And so the kids know they can get away with it, so they try to get away with whatever they can. They're kids. And so it's really, I prefer to really work with the parents more so than the children. Now, there are certain times when children are experiencing some of their own internal stuff, and at 13, if your son's 13, he's going through puberty, physical changes. He wants to fit in at school. And to fit in at school today, you have to be on this phone. You have to be on this medium. And I've had kids tell me that they can't, if they don't use social media, they have no friends. No friends at all. So nowadays, the phone is the medium to which they are socializing. So for you, like for maybe you and I, our way of socializing was, walking up Forbes Street and hanging out, and getting into trouble on Forbes Street or Minio's Pizza or something, I mean, we didn't have the phone, so we had to interact with people and go to people's houses and have house parties. Kids don't do that. They just sit on these phones all day. So you have to set really strict guidelines. And I've had some parents say, during the week, there's no phones, no computer except for schoolwork. But then parents have to work harder to keep their kids entertained and da-da-da, and it's a tough world to do that. So, I mean, that is definitely something that I see a lot of. It's a different world.
Oh, yeah, totally.
It's a different world.
Come home when the streetlights are on, that doesn't exist anymore. When your timer goes off or mom and dad text you, that's really when it is.
Yeah, and I can't even imagine that. I mean, we used to play outside until it got dark, and then we went out, and there was no big deal. But today, if kids aren't on social media and it's so addicting for them because, think about me and you, like growing up, we didn't want to miss a party or miss a birthday, something, and hope we were included. Well, now you have to try to keep up on the phone. And so it's so much pressure for these kids. It's terrible.
And do you think it's good to monitor?
I do.
Or do you think that that's an invasion of privacy, as the kids would tell you?
Man, you're asking me some hard balls. Okay. I think that it depends on the child. If the child is getting good grades, if the child is socially interacting with the family, then you can leave him to his privacy. But I think at some point, if you're suspecting that, something is wrong, then sure, go ahead and look. I mean, it's your responsibility. It's your child.
And I think these are all great tips that everybody out there can relate to that has a kid. I know for me, it's a big worry.
It's a big
worry.
So
I just think that it's...
Yeah, I mean, you have to look. I mean, look, my mother went through my stuff.
Mine went through mine.
I didn't have a phone, but she went through my stuff to make sure there wasn't anything bad in it, and I hated it, but thank God she did.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
parents are definitely...
You have to stay on top of kids today. Very
Okay.
closely.
We have another question from Mike.
Okay.
And Mike says, hold on. What do I do if my partner hides their phone or never lets me see it?
Uh-oh, Mike. That's not good. Again, I always tell people before we react emotionally, let's take a deep breath and let's think how we can get the information that we want from our partners without going through their things and without a big fight. And this is not easy to do, but Mike, what I would do is I would, again, approach her and say, hey, I'm feeling a little concerned or kind of insecure about the fact that your phone is always hidden and turned away. Is everything okay in our relationship? See what she says. She may open up to you about something, but she might not. And so I think that, again, it's, you have to be able to sit down and talk to your partner in a way that they don't feel attacked to get the information that you need. And it's amazing as a couples therapist that, people like you, Mike, I meet with people like you every day, and everyone's afraid to ask the question.
Oh, of course.
Everyone's afraid to confront their partner, and that right there is a sign that something's off. If you don't feel comfortable speaking to your significant other, right there, that should be a sign that you might need some help with your relationship.
That's a very good point.
Yeah.
Don't ask the question if you can't handle the answer.
Yeah, but Mike, I feel for you, and I hope that, you get the courage to kind of, have that conversation with her.
Thanks. I think that was great. I hope that kind of went over some things, but Mike, if you'd like to talk to Elizabeth at any time,
you can always
head on
come
over to that
in.
page.
That's right. You can always
She's
call
very
and
warm and welcoming. And
come
this,
in.
I can't get over how awesome this office is. All this artwork that's up here, so many conversation pieces. I mean, you've
Yes.
done such a great job with this.
Thank you.
It's just inviting. I mean, we're just two people having a conversation.
Hanging out, you know, and you know, our goal of this show, I mean, this is our first one, is that we want to help as many people as possible. You know, I got into this business because I wanted to help people. There's nothing else to it. And you know, so if this can help anybody, then it's really exciting for us.
Oh, I think it's great. And I just want to point out too, Elizabeth is from Squirrel Hill.
Yes, I
And
am.
she's an Allderdice grad.
Yes, I am.
And neighboring Greenfield. I mean,
That's
we
right.
were just destined to
we were
to
destined
meet.
to meet. We were destined.
All over what? Minia's.
All over
Minia's
Pizza.
So I think it's great. I mean, she is so down to earth. You guys have I just can't say enough great things about her.
Thank you.
And
I
that
really
is,
appreciate that.
honestly, and anybody that knows me knows that I don't beat around the bush.
No. See, that's why I like her, because I like direct to the point kind of talk. And I want to hear from everybody out there, what are your relationship concerns? I think people are maybe a little shy to do it live, because I get so many questions during the day about relationships. And, you know, as you know, I put all my little videos out as often as possible on Facebook and YouTube to, you know, tackle different topics that I hear from my clients are really important. And social media is the hot topic.
It's a huge thing.
It is the topic of the day with relationships.
Do you think social media is detrimental to relationships, or do you think that it's kind of an aid? I mean, we have all of these things out there, these dating apps and these different, you know, forums of everybody to talk. What do you think? Pros and cons.
So I'm a kind of old-fashioned on this one. You know, I love social media as a medium to reach a lot of people. Obviously, I'm using it to do just that right now, okay? And it's been wonderful for my business, and it's allowed me to touch many people, okay? But I feel that generally speaking, social media has been extremely destructive to relationships. Couple reasons for that. Number one, the amount of opportunities and temptation that is out there now because of social media is, I don't even have words for how bad it is. Because before, if you wanted to meet somebody, again, you had to go somewhere. You had to be human and sit and talk with them like this and have a meal or a glass of wine, or, you know, and get to know somebody. Now what I see happening is people are window shopping on social media.
Swipe left.
Yep.
I think it's swipe left.
I have no idea, but it goes on Facebook. It's everything, okay? And so I get in a fight with my partner. Well, I can just put up a picture on whatever social media site and get a bunch of attention. And it artificially fills your soul there for a minute, but then it just goes away, and then you're left with your relationship. So I think it's becoming a very destructive and addictive way of dealing with our own pain and with our own relationship problems, again, rather than just talking to the person. Oh, you know, you pissed me off, or you were texting this person, well, guess what, I'm going to go do that too. And a lot of affairs start on Facebook and Instagram. I mean, I deal with couples where there's been an affair pretty much daily. And 100% of them were caught on social media. 100% of them, no, maybe 98% of them, if not meeting them at work, meet them mostly on social media. It's just so easy. You can talk to anybody, anytime, any place that you want.
Yeah.
There's no limits.
It's all at your fingertips.
It's all at your fingertips. And I mean, I've heard stories where people have, you know, been unfaithful or have cheated on somebody right next to their partner in bed. They're in bed and they're chatting with another person. That's how accessible it is. So what does this mean for relationships? Nothing good that I can see. I mean, it's also, you know, when, like, getting back to the kids and relationships, you know, if there's no personal interaction and everything is through the medium of, you know, your cell phone or social media, your social skills, you're not going to have any social skills.
Backwards.
It's like the dumbing down of this country, you know? And I'm not trying to be too extreme and say, you know, I hate all social media, because I'd be a hypocrite. I'm using it right now. And I think that it's wonderful as far as networking and communicating with, like, I have friends in Sweden, I have friends in Italy, and I love and miss them, and I can see on Facebook what's going on in their lives. We can talk for free, and it's wonderful for a communication tool. But with relationships,
So as long as it's used correctly.
if it's used responsibly, it's fine. But it as human beings, we always push things to the limit. It's just what we do.
Hence the apple.
Exactly.
Adam and Eve.
Absolutely. Yes.
It all goes back.
It does. It's very much about temptation. I mean, if you wanted to have an affair 20 years ago, okay, there was no social media or cell phones. Maybe there's cell phones starting. Where were you going to meet them?
And how were you going to make
And
that
how
plan
were you
to
going to
meet
make the
them?
plan?
Yeah.
And how were you going to carry on the relationship when you're at home living with another person? I mean, it really took some work.
Yeah.
And I think, look, affairs have been happening since the beginning of time. This isn't new. There's just now a new medium for it to happen, and it's very exaggerated. Because again, I could pick up that phone right now and I could send messages to 10 guys, see who bites, and start something.
Oh, it's just too
It's
scary
scary.
to even think about.
It's scary. It is scary.
But it is a topic. Okay, we have another question from Mike. Is it a
Okay.
red flag if someone has no social media?
No, I don't think so. I can see where you might think, like, well, why aren't you on social media? Like, what are you hiding, maybe, Mike, you're suggesting? And I mean, that's an interesting point, but no, I think I really admire people without social media.
I couldn't live
I don't
without
think
it
I
at
could
this
do
point.
it at this point, but
it's like breathing.
yeah,
almost.
it is.
It's like air.
It is. It's that natural for people. So, I mean, Mike, it sounds to me like you have a lot of questions about this person that you're in a relationship with. And, like a lot of flags are coming, a lot of things coming up for you, that something isn't sitting right. And I would follow those instincts, but try to be objective and, rational and ask her about it. See what she says.
He did post another follow-up that says when he does bring up issues, it does turn into an argument and he ends up apologizing.
Mike, I mean, I think that first question is how are you asking? How are you approaching her? Are you approaching her in an attacking way? Again, saying, why are you always on your phone? Why do you always hide it? Why don't you, is she feeling attacked? Or is she getting defensive and blowing up and you are asking in a nice way because there's something wrong with maybe, her personality, or she's hiding something, again, it's so hard unless I would meet you.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to misspeak about somebody who might be perfectly innocent, but that's something that, if you're really concerned, that I would definitely say, schedule an appointment with me and we can really get into the details and I can give you some good advice and some direction on that one.
I think that's a good answer. Let's see, what else do we have? Oh, his partner doesn't allow her to have social media, or him to have social media.
Okay, so that sounds, if your partner's not allowing you to have social media, I mean, that is a sign of someone who's trying to control somebody else.
Yes. But again, this is nothing individualized. We're kind of just talking. We're having a conversation.
Yeah, I mean,
So-
I think if
I think it might be a good idea, though, if you want to explore these feelings, to make an appointment and to talk to Elizabeth, because she has a lot of really great insight and really great tips and ways to handle these kind of situations. Maybe if you're having some problems navigating it yourself, which everybody has their issues.
yeah, that's
There's
true.
not a 100% perfect person out there.
I've never met them.
I would like to think that I am most of the time, but
You're pretty close.
it's freaking well. See, I love her.
You know what? I was watching there's a new series on HBO, okay? It's called The New Pope.
I think I've seen that
It
advertised.
is so good. It is, it's only like 5 episodes in, so you guys have to watch the show. And basically it's about the Vatican and the papacy and how the Pope becomes the Pope, and then it really focuses on how Pope John Paul III became Pope, okay? And
Sorry about that. We lost connection for a second, but it looks like we're good again.
so the dialogue in the show is so incredible, and John Malkovich plays Pope John Paul III. He is the most amazing character, and his acting is wild. And he made a comment yesterday. He said, in character, the only way to be perfect is to continually change. How about that? In order to be perfect, you must continue. The only way to reach perfection is to continually change.
Makes a lot of sense.
Because, and again, when I say perfect, there is no perfect, but we're always growing, we're always evolving, we're always changing, we're always growing, and that's how we maintain stability in our lives. You can't just be one way all the time. You can't just be in your relationship one way all the time. Relationships take work, and people don't understand. I think people take them for granted. Oh, I'm with this person and I'll just be with them forever.
Mm-hmm.
No, we're not a possession of somebody else. We can all leave whenever we want. Married or not, it makes no difference. And so you have to work to keep that partner happy, and vice versa. You don't go to your job, hopefully, and just say, well, I've been here for I'm not going to do my job. I'm just going to hang out. You wouldn't do that. You get fired.
Exactly.
So why are relationships any different? You can't go into a relationship after 5 or 10 years. Oh, this person's always going to be here. I'm just going to do whatever the hell I want.
So you always have to put in the work.
Always.
It's never an end game.
Never ending.
It's
always something that needs nurturing and attention.
I think people talk about like the dash. You have your birth date and your death date, and there's a dash. So I think it's
it's a beautiful poem.
You have to make the most out of that dash.
You really do. I mean, and our relationships. I think one of the reasons I'm so passionate about doing relationship therapy is because your relationships are everything. All the material possessions and all of those things.
Can't take it with you.
You can't take it with you, and it really doesn't mean anything, ultimately. What will get you through your life and what will give your life meaning are relationships. So why do you think people come in here, they're desperate if they're going to lose their relationship? Because relationships, our close relationships, our husbands and wives, boyfriends and girlfriends, whatever it is, that is what gives our life meaning. And it's how we grow. And when that relationship is in trouble, we can't function. Can't function.
I think she just summed it up.
Mm-hmm. And so when people come in here, I think a lot of people don't believe that there's any hope for them. I think they believe that, they're at the end of the road. And when, you get to work with them and give them some hope, it's really awesome to see what can happen.
Well, you can't help those that don't want to help themselves.
No, that we can't do. So any other questions coming up?
Let's see. Mike Shook said that you are amazing.
Oh, thanks, Mike. I haven't seen you in a while. How are you? Mike's my buddy. Mike's my buddy, and he's off in the police force, becoming a police officer right now.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, he's a friend. He's also heavyweight boxer, and Mike and I became friends a couple years ago, and we did some work together getting him ready for some of his exams for the police academy.
Oh, that's
great.
So
it's really fun. Yeah.
You just do it all.
Well,
I cannot stress enough how fabulous she is.
Well,
anybody that knows her is going to know that already, but guys, anybody having any issues out there, there is not a more comfortable person to talk to.
Well, thank
there just
you.
really isn't. And if this smile doesn't do it, I don't know what what will. Anybody else? Is there anything? Let's see. Okay. He's seen some of your videos on narcissism. Can you expand a little bit?
Sure. Expanding on the narcissist. Is that Mike Shook asking?
No. This is Mike McKay.
Okay. Can I expand? Mike, can you give me a little more specific? Do you want me to talk about the personality, or do you have a specific question about narcissistic behavior?
While we're waiting for that response, Mike Shook said that you have to learn to love yourself first and foremost. That's why he's single, because he is way too picky.
Well, Mike Shook, you're right. It is true that a lot of people, want a relationship to make them, to make their person legitimate, or to
validate.
Thank you. Validate who they are. And that's when we get into some really dysfunctional relationships and some really abusive relationships. So Shook is right that if you don't see your own worth and you get into a relationship, you might be very vulnerable to getting into an abusive relationship because you don't feel your value. You don't understand that you don't need to put up with that kind of stuff.
So you should really know what you're bringing to the table.
I think so.
And I think everybody brings something to the table.
Everybody brings something to the table. I mean, there are some, kind of shitty people. I don't want to swear. There's some bad people out there, There's some bad people out there, unfortunately. But for the most part, yes, everybody has something beautiful about them, and everybody has something to offer. Absolutely.
Okay.
Did we get any specifics from? Not yet.
Well, everybody is different, and I think Mike is asking, is there a way that he can tell if his partner is a narcissist?
Yes, there is. That's a great question. Okay, so how to look out for narcissistic behavior, okay? And narcissism, I did a little series on it about a week or two ago because it seems to be a very popular topic. And I think that going back again to the whole social media issue, it's creating a lot of narcissism because
all the likes.
It's a stage.
Yeah.
It's a stage for people. And, they're obsessed with their pictures and they're this and that. So it's creating narcissism. So let me answer your question. If you find that every time you try to have a, basic conversation with somebody, they blow up in defensiveness and flip the script, and you feel like you were just hit by a tornado, and you started out talking about apples and somehow it flipped to talking about pizza and you don't know how it got there, and it seems just crazy every time you talk to somebody, that's a warning flag that, okay, there may be some personality issues here. Narcissists are, if you notice that your relationship is always on that person's terms, about them, what they want, and they're never asking you, what do you want and what do you need in the relationship, that might be a sign. Narcissists can be very rageful. So if you notice that, your partner is exploding all the time and making everything about them no matter what the topic is, that's a good sign. Narcissists typically play the victim. They never want to take responsibility for anything. So, they can knock a lamp over in front of you.
Well, he says always with exclamation points.
Yeah, always. They can they'll knock your lamp over and you'll say, oh my gosh, you knocked the lamp over. No, I didn't. I didn't knock that over. You did it. And, when you're on the other side of narcissism, it's like it literally hits you like a bomb. It's very, very, very difficult. The rage, the victimization, narcissists will never take responsibility for anything. They're the victim. They find a way to blame everybody for everything that doesn't go right in their life. It's never their fault.
So is that something you think that they could maybe come in and discuss with you?
Absolutely. I really did a lot of research in grad school. When you write your papers, a lot of times the professors give you, a rein to kind of focus on what interests you. And I found personality disorders very interesting. So I did a lot of my papers on narcissism, borderline personality disorder. So I know them really, really well. And if, I say on my videos all the time, if you think that you might be with a narcissist or somebody with a personality disorder, you need to come in and consult with me.
I think that's all very good advice.
I'm pretty good at spotting them. But, what I tell people is, like, if you feel like something's not right, it probably isn't.
So go with your gut.
Go with your gut, and if he's asking about a female narcissists tend to also be kind of histrionic. And that's a whole other issue we won't get into today. But, you need to... relationships are two people. They're not one. And narcissists don't understand that. They think that the relationship is just about them and their needs and their wants and how they want it and what way they want it. They don't care about... They don't really love other people. They don't.
They are there for
not
themselves
capable.
And that's it.
They use their lovers as an object. They're more of an object or a possession to control, more than they're not truly capable of love in which the way the rest of us understand it.
Now, do you think with help and with counseling, do you think that there's a way to turn that around, or do you think
No.
so that person will probably never change?
No, probably not. I mean, the research suggests, there's not a ton of research done on narcissism because narcissists never think anything's wrong and they never come in for help. So the statistics that we have come from mental health facilities that report at the end of the year, like who comes in and what diagnoses. So, you're not going to get a lot of narcissists in the research because they don't go for help. And the ones that go for help are borderlines. And so we have a ton of research on borderline personality disorder, and there's some that believe there's help for that. But narcissism, I don't think so.
Well, Mike says that you sound spot on with everything.
Thank you, Mike. Thanks for watching.
So
I
again,
appreciate it. Thank you.
Make an appointment. Make the phone call. I think the first step to help is just picking up that phone.
And don't be afraid. You know what I'd like to mention, Tia, is, I really like working with male clients. And men have a tendency to be very afraid of therapy. And I think that men are afraid of therapy because they think that I am going to side with their wives, gang up on them, and make them feel double worse. Or they think because men are supposed to be strong and tough and soldier through everything, that if they go to therapy or they call to go into therapy, that it's somehow like a weakness or failure on their part as a man. And I can't encourage men enough. I have 3 brothers that I grew up with, and all my first cousins except one is male. So I've grown up around all men my whole life. And men are people too. And it's okay to call and come into therapy, and it's not a sign of weakness. I think it's a sign of strength because you're willing to change, you're willing to come and open up to somebody, which is how you build intimacy in relationships. So if my clients can open up to me, then they learn, it might be okay to open up to other women and other people. So I encourage men to take that leap and not to be afraid of me. I don't bite.
Yeah, she's no.
But men do. They get really when they call me on the phone, they're like you can tell a lot of them are being dragged by their wives. But a lot of them remain my clients, well after couples therapy. And, I would say probably a good percentage of my practice is men. And I really enjoy working with men and men's issues because they're different than women.
Well, that's good. And you're helping them help themselves.
Oh, yeah.
It's not, you're not just
not
in
judgment.
Here talking to the wall. No, this is you make it a very safe space.
I hope so. Because I don't want anyone to feel like I'm going to take out a book, and put my glasses on and script notes. I don't take notes during the session because I think it's rude to be writing while you're, talking to someone. I mean, if it's your first time, I'm going to jot down some things just because, I want to have a file and make sure I know what's going on. But, it's just comfort. It's like this.
Yeah.
It's just hanging out, talking.
We have our tea and we're just going to town.
Yeah. We have our tea and our tea. We have 2 teas. We have this tea and then we have some hot tea.
I think this is fun. I mean, what do you guys think? Is this something that you want to see on more of a regular basis? Or let us know. We are here for your opinions and your constructive criticism. Please be nice.
Yeah, but I'll take it.
Yeah.
We want to make this as informative as possible and
helpful. And we really are trying to, I think, kind of erase the stigma behind
therapy.
Just therapy and counseling and talking to people. I mean, it is just this easy. And I guarantee you that after 10 minutes in here, you could leave feeling so much better. But she gives you so much and just the amount of time and, she really cares about you. She really cares about her patients.
Thank you.
And I think that's the most important thing.
You know what, it's true. When my clients to me are not just my clients, they're my family. I love my clients. I care about them deeply. We build beautiful relationships. And I do believe that to be a good therapist, you have to care. And unfortunately, our training tells us something a little different. When I was going through, a lot of training and all my training and all my schooling and, professors and trainers, they really kind of drive it into your head that, you have to be very boundaried and don't get sucked into other people's problems and emotions. And that is true, but you have to care.
Oh, you do have to care.
You have to care.
Dano, just to tell you The video is sideways. At the very beginning, I just kind of explained that if you click on it and you turn your phone, whatever it's sitting on, it just works better for the way that we're sitting here together. You can swipe left or right to get rid of the comments too. It just kind of worked in a better format. So, and this also gives you a chance too. They're clicking on this video. You're the only thing that's up on their screen.
Oh.
It is just us here. They can't look at their other comments on there. They can't look at the rest of Facebook.
Good.
It
Okay,
is just
great.
us.
So
This is kind of like a way to bring everybody in and kind of, keep it going and remove the distractions.
Yeah.
There can be so many distractions in life.
Oh, there sure are. So I want to ask you a question.
Oh,
Let's
okay.
put you on the spot. But prior to meeting me and seeing what I'm doing here in this practice, what was your perception of a therapist?
So for me, it would be coming in, laying on a couch, or sitting down, somebody behind a desk, somebody that just sat there and went, and how would you say that makes you feel? And I can imagine that would probably, that would drive me nuts. It would be a one-sided conversation, like you're talking to the brick wall. And you leave there, I think, having gone to a therapist before, you leave with more questions than answers. And you it's like them letting you talk through your problems, and they're just there to collect the check and that's it. Mm-hmm. But coming in here with you, I mean, it is as simple as sitting in a chair, having a conversation, but there's feedback. There's more on the other end. Mm-hmm. And, you talk through problems with people. She doesn't just let you don't just let anybody talk it out on themselves. Like, I'm not sitting here thinking, okay, well, maybe if I did this, it would be different. And maybe if I tried that approach, it would be different. That's why I'm here.
Right.
I'm here to talk to you, to get some feedback and bounce some ideas off. And, you can give a really good, educated opinion on what's going to work and what approaches to try.
Right. And I don't really have a dog in the fight either. So I can be as objective as possible. You know what I mean? Because it's not, I'm trying to help other people. But so I do think that we have that stigma. And I've had a lot of clients come here for therapy that have said, like, because I always ask people when they first come in, like, have you ever been to therapy? And how was the experience? Was it a good experience? Was it a bad experience? And I hear so often that the therapists just sit there. I've heard of a therapist falling asleep. I heard of a therapist talking all about themselves and their husbands or so. I mean, I've heard some pretty interesting stories that give us a bad rap.
Yeah.
And again, some of our training does say, like, hey, therapy is the art of asking questions. It's not about advice giving. It's not about this. It's not about that. But every therapist has to find their own style and their own way. But I don't believe in people coming in here and giving me their time, which is very precious these days, and money, and just sitting there and nodding my head. I won't do it. And I won't ask somebody, how did that make you feel? That's like nails on a chalkboard to me. Because most of the time, how people feel is fairly obvious. And so, I don't know, what's the point of asking it?
And I think, too, anymore today, people are using, like we were talking about, social media. Instead of talking to a licensed professional, you're putting it out there for everybody. And you want everybody to give you advice and opinions. And that's all well and great. But how many times do you follow that advice or opinions and it leads you down a horrible, awful road to the point where you're posting more and more because now there's no communication in your relationship. Mm-hmm. No one's talking to you, mm-hmm. and you're in a corner by yourself.
Yeah. And as a matter of fact, I did a video on that a couple weeks ago. Facebook is not therapy. Well, now it is. Here it is. But I mean, it's not. It's not. It's not therapy. It's just, and a lot of times those opinions drive people so crazy that they come to therapy. Mm-hmm. Well, everyone's telling me this. Everyone's telling me that. Everyone's telling me to get out of this relationship. Well, sometimes it's not that easy. And you need a little bit of guidance.
This is a really good question, again, from Mike. And Mike, again, I think you really, really get a lot out of coming and talking to Elizabeth.
You can call me Liz. Greenfield and Squirrel Hill people and my family call me Liz. Everybody else calls me Elizabeth, so it doesn't really matter.
Well, and my real name's Christina, but only the people that I like do I allow to call me anything other. So Mike thinks that he feels that he doesn't come to therapy because he thinks it would be somebody judging him.
And that, Mike, is precisely the problem, that we have this stigma as therapists that we're going to judge. And I can't speak for other therapists. but I can speak for myself. I don't judge my clients. I truly want to help them. There's nothing you're going to tell me that I have not already heard. I guarantee it. Now, sometimes I say that and something new walks in the door, but for the most part, you know, I've been in this field for 11 or 12 years, and I'm 44. I mean, I've been through life. I mean, there's not a lot I haven't heard at this point, and I'm not here to judge you, Mike. I'm here to help.
And seriously, it's really nothing to be ashamed of. I'm sure people try and sneak in here, or they say, oh, I have an appointment. I have to go see my dentist. Okay, if you're going to tell someone that someone is going to be literally digging around in your mouth, why do you have a problem telling them that, hey, this person's going to dig around in my brain? Same difference.
That's a great point. That's a great point.
Yeah.
It's a great point. I mean, again, I think maybe people have to give me a chance and go through the experience to see for themselves. You know, if they don't like it, they don't have to come back. You know, but I think that people generally have a good time here, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's could not be any more comfortable, I don't think.
Thank you.
And just so everybody knows that joined us, I'm not down here texting. I'm literally following along on my phone so we can answer your questions. I feel like
you're good. I keep looking at your phone,
such a bad co-speaker.
No, you're awesome. You're great.
Let's see. All right, so we have 9 more minutes.
Okay.
Does anybody have anything else that they want to share with us? Any feedback? Anything else that we can kind of close this session in with? And I think it went pretty good.
I think it went great. I mean, we just rolled with, we didn't know where it was going to go.
No. And we want you guys to share the video, invite people to the page. Like, let's help us erase the stigma. Help us, you know, reach out to people that maybe otherwise wouldn't have seen it. If you have somebody that's struggling and you think, hey, you could benefit even the tiniest little bit, watch these videos. If you go onto the page on Facebook, she's got a lot of great videos. They're informative and they give a general idea of how to cope with certain things and without being specific to your situation. If you can apply one little part of that to anything that you do and it makes you feel better, do it. Come in here and talk to her. I mean, you guys have nothing to lose.
That's true. I mean, there's nothing to lose. I mean, if you don't like it, you don't have to come back.
Yeah.
But most people, I do think, enjoy it. And I think, you know, people have to remember also about, this is all confidential. So whatever you tell me, no one's ever going to know. No one's ever going to hear about it. It's just private, confidential. And I think that, you know, I lived in Miami for 14 years, and that's where I started my career, was there. And in Miami, it's such a different culture than around here in Pittsburgh and in the eastern suburbs, just different culture. And I've learned from living in Miami that a lot of other cultures, like in South America and in Europe, therapy is standard.
It's the norm.
Everybody goes to therapy. But in America, I believe because we're such a hardworking, tough culture, and we are a hardworking group of people, that we just want to soldier through everything in America. We're tough.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think it's in Miami, like, everybody had a therapist. Everyone.
It was the thing.
It was a thing.
It was the thing. You have your car guy, you've got your phone people.
You've got your accountant.
You've got your therapist.
You've got your therapist. And I'm hearing more and more that is breaking into the culture here in Pittsburgh and in the suburbs. I think it's really exciting that, you know, people are like, oh, you know, like, I talked to Elizabeth about this, and I told my friends, and then my friends, well, my therapist said this, and it's kind of cute. And I think it's cool that people are getting more comfortable and at ease about, it's not such a big deal. It doesn't mean you're crazy. It doesn't mean anything. It just means that maybe you got to a place in your life where something is kind of stumping you. You're not sure how to deal with it. You're maybe in a relationship that's hit a plateau or hit a really tough place or something, and you just need some professional guidance.
And I think, too, I mean, you grew up in Squirrel Hill.
I did.
Pittsburgh is the steel town.
Yes.
So the way that our, parents dealt with things, especially back in the day, it was you get done with work, 7 a.m., you go to the bar and you have a beer, and your bartender is your therapist.
That's right. Big drinking culture around here.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And I think that sometimes maybe that adds to the chaos and the problems.
That's a whole nother.
It's a different topic for a different day.
No, but you're right. You're spot on about that. I've noticed that, you know, this is a drinking culture and a bar culture. I think I heard a statistic once that Pittsburgh has more bars per square mile than any other city in the United States.
Well, I think they call us a drinking town with a football problem. I think that's one of the, I know I've heard that before, but it is true. And
And so that right there, I think, is a wall to therapy. Like, oh, we'll drink it off, we'll fight it off, we'll play sports, we'll get it out. And you don't think about sitting and having a nice little conversation. It's just, I think that, Pittsburgh, we're a tough group of people. And I think, it was a wonderful place to grow up. I mean, growing up in Squirrel Hill was really great. I mean,
it's amazing. You tell people that you're from all kinds of different parts when you're in different states, or you're even in another country, and you tell them you're from Pittsburgh, and they go, "Oh, Pittsburgh." I mean, it's everywhere because we are known as friendly and welcoming.
We are.
And that's, what we want to keep up. And I think that's a lot of the point here. Like, Elizabeth is very welcoming, and she genuinely does want to help everybody, as many people as she can reach, and I think that's great. So I think with these videos and sharing them, there's nothing to lose with a conversation.
Yeah, no. It's just so interesting. Talking about the Pittsburgh culture, because it's interesting. Because I grew up here until I was 25. I think I was when I moved down to South Florida, and you can take the girl out of Pittsburgh, but you can't take the Pittsburgh out of the girl. And I think that maybe some of my characteristics of being welcoming, everything is a Pittsburgh thing. Mm-hmm. Because Pittsburgh people are really nice and open and friendly, and therapy doesn't have to be like, oh my God, this scary thing and this person's gonna die. No, it's just like a fun conversation. It's really fun conversation.
We've certainly put the dogs to sleep.
The dogs are sleeping.
Woke up.
The dogs are sleeping, and this was so much fun, and I hope that as we continue to do this, that people will, get involved and, send questions. Like, if you want to send us questions during the week through my Facebook page, and then we'll talk about them when we air this the next time we do this, we can do that. We can, if people are looking for it, we can really focus on one topic specifically. Mm-hmm. And I know the chatting cheating is something that we really want to focus on, maybe on our next show.
Yeah, and that was a really good video. You can go back and watch that on the page.
Yeah.
Well, to kind of hone this in, how can somebody make an appointment?
So to make an appointment, all you have to do is you can go to actuationcounseling.com and you can contact me through the website. You can go to my Facebook page, which is Actuation Counseling on Facebook, and you can send me a message and say you want to come in, or you can call me at 412-376-7322 and just call and make an appointment. And this is the home of the 90-minute session, by the way. We do not do 45-minute or 50-minute sessions because it's not enough time. So when you come in, your first session is almost 2 hours. Your second, and all the sessions after that are 90 minutes.
And there's no timer, so it's not like you're rushed or beating a buzzer.
No.
And let's see, Mike just asked about insurance.
Okay. I'm sorry, I don't take any insurance. I am a cash only practice. I would take cash, credit cards, debit cards, and some people have health savings account cards, and I take those. But I don't bill any insurance.
But for more specific questions as to your fees, anybody can get a hold of you.
Yep, you can call me. We can talk about it.
I will tell you, go and do your research. Go and look up what a 60-minute session would be, and then come and call and talk to Elizabeth. It is amazing, and she's just, again, such a great person.
Thank you.
Thank her so much for this opportunity to have these conversations, and I look forward to them going forward.
I know. It's like the greatest producer in the world. I'm so excited. I'm really excited about this, and please, keep them coming in. And I promised my older brother I would send him a shout out because he's on his way. He's a professional drummer. Along with other things, he's also another regular drummer. He's the most amazing drummer in the world, and he's on his way to a gig with his saxophone player, and they were going to be in the car. So Carrie Statlander, love and miss you. Wanted to send you a shout out, and that's it. I think that'll wrap it up for today.
Yeah. Well, enjoy, guys. We want to thank you so much for joining us, and look out for some new stuff that's going to be coming to the Facebook page. We're also going to be branching out to Twitter soon. So
Instagram,
Instagram,
YouTube. We're going to be everywhere.
Every platform, and pretty soon on all your billboards.
Oh gosh, that's really scary.
So everybody have a great day.
Have a great day, everyone.
Health and happiness to everyone. Thank you for tuning in and joining us.
Thank you, guys. Be well.